All right, Group 3, this is Coach Greg walking you through your Week 2 drill, building upon what we did in Week 1. So this week, we have a lot of material here. I'll try to be succinct and efficient to get us through it. Building on boat speed from last week, we're going to emphasize tacking and jibing and good proper techniques and how to do that. Mark roundings are going to be a focal point this week. We touched on them last week, but more so focused this week. Lay lines, I have a definition and some useful tips, and then we'll have the drill. Okay, so tacking. So roll tacks. Why do we do roll tacks? Roll tacks are an effective way for us to regain the speed that we would lose as we execute a tack. Roll tacks take practice, and the only way you can practice that is with your crew, is doing multiple tacks. So the opportunities are during these drills. So I encourage you to take as many tacks as possible. So some of the success tips of good roll tacks are good communication. Skipper and crew should be in unison. To do that, the crew can't understand what the skipper's saying thinking without talking. So skipper, I should hear you prepare to tack. Crew respond ready. Skipper 3, 2, 1 tack. I want to hear everyone being vocal about this more so than you would on a race course. During practice, it's good for you guys to become very vocal and used to talking to each other. Overtacking is another thing that us coaches noticed happening during the drills. What does overtacking mean? That means as you get on from, say, a starboard to a port tack, as you're on that port tack, completing your tack, you're not back on the wind. You're on like a close reach. Or in some cases, I see that you didn't fully complete your tack. So I'll put that in the category of overtacking. It's really undertacking, but overtacking is a more problematic situation because it takes you several boat lengths, if not dozens of boat lengths, to get back on a proper tack. And if you were to see for an aerial footage from above, rather than a nice clean 90-degree tack, what you would end up seeing is something that looked like an S, which means lost time, lost distance, and translates into being slow. The last thing to pay attention to is if you're doing your tacks properly, you should not see your sails flogging. The jib should not be flogging. The main should not be flogging. These sails should come back in unison, nice and uniform, and it should look like a thing of poetry as these come in. Okay, so I've got a basic drill here just to walk you through techniques. Starting on starboard, skipper would call for tack, crew would respond ready, skipper counts down 3, 2, 1 tack. Execute the tack onto port. Crew would call tack complete slightly after the boat has gone head to wind. And crews, you're going to have to work on this with your skippers till you find out where that sweet spot is, but it does help your skipper to recognize that they're on the new tack. And your jib should come across during this whole event and flatten the boat, and the jib should come across, just sliding across the mast and be fully sheeted, fully tensioned back in such that it's not flapping. Okay, and you're off. Okay, jibing, similar to tacking, good communication. You should be in what we call the downwind gear, which I'll touch on momentarily, but prepare to jibe, crew ready, 3, 2, 1, jibe. Jibes is very important for communication because they do have the opportunity to be dangerous as the boom comes from one side of the boat to the other, which falls on you, skipper, to control that. So as we're going through the jibe, you as a skipper should be always controlling the jibe with the main sheet. That means holding onto the bundle of the main sheet and throwing that across is what you should be doing. And by throwing it, I don't mean throw and let go. You should be controlling that jibe such that it's not a slam from one side to the other. As you complete the jibe, there should be very little movement of the tiller. You generally are running in the lee already, which means the main is trying to jibe in your proper downwind gear, so it doesn't take much movement at all to make that mainsail come over. As you finish that, your jib should come back to the opposite side, and you should assume the wing-on-wing downwind gear. So touching on the downwind gear, I did not see good execution of this on last week's practice. The boat should be always heeled to windward, so the boom should be up. The skipper should be sitting on the side forward with the jib sheet in their hand, playing the jib such that it's flowing as far out as possible. Allow that jib to do what I call breathe. Allow it to get as maximum projected area as possible. And crew, it's 100% on you to control that heel. So you'll be standing, you'll have one hand on the boom, the other hand on the shroud. Sometimes I like to put my foot on the shroud because it's a little easier to control. But your hand always there for support, and then you control the heel. The board should also be up, and it should be a smooth heel. The boat should not be rocking back and forth. It should be maintaining a nice even heel downwind. Okay, so mark roundings. I've also posted a video for you to watch on mark roundings, and we take video of you as you execute your own mark roundings. In essence, a proper mark rounding enables you to go wide of the mark as you enter, so as you exit, it should be narrow. So if you look at the windward mark rounding as you head down, or the pin, the offset, what you would do is there should be no room for a boat to fit between you and the mark. And more problematic, I find, is actually the downwind at the gate or the leeward mark, is that as you exit and come back up, there's no room for a boat to fit in there. So these are opportunities you should also be looking for and anticipating as a competitor with the boat. If you're in the boat behind, is looking for that opportunity to take advantage of that hole that's created. This is an easy way to start making up positions on a race course if somebody provides you that opportunity. Okay, the last thing I'm going to touch on here before the drill is ley lines. So ley lines are imaginary lines that you would tack on to be able to make the windward mark. It's important you don't sail past these ley lines, and what may seem very intuitive here is not always exercised and practice on the water. So if you sail further, that means you're sailing a longer distance, which takes you more time, which equates to being slow. So you do not want to go past ley lines. So one of the easiest ways for you to be able to identify a ley line is having your crew hold their arm 90 degrees out to the boat. In crew, you start working on calling the tack. Call the ley line when you're on your final tack, fetching the windward mark. Once you reach 90 degrees, tell your skipper, inform them. And skipper, you would go through the process we just went through. Prepare to tack, ready, 3, 2, 1, tack. In practice, I want to see as many tacks as we can upwind. The only way to get better at this is continue your tacks and work to master these skills. Okay, so I've got a little animation of what I was just talking about here. So we've got two ley lines shown on the windward mark here, port ley line, starboard ley line. I'm going to hesitate here for just a second on describing a port ley line, and that's where you would tack to be able to fetch the windward mark on a port tack. Starboard would be in a starboard tack. So a port ley line, unless you are entirely leading the fleet, is a very, very bad place to be tacking. On this port ley line here will end up putting you on a port crossing the starboard fleet, which is a very, very challenging way to get around the mark. If you see a hole in the line of boats coming up, sometimes it works, but you've also got to contend with the boats that are coming back downwind. So it's a very, very difficult place to be, like I said, unless you are the lead boat. If you are the lead boat, that can be advantage for you. But what you will do in this scenario is you would sail over to the ley line. This crew holds out the arm 90 degrees, and you would tack on that ley line, and you should be able to make a straight run up to the windward mark and make a efficient upwind mark rounding. Okay, so this is the drill for this week. So we're going to use this drill both on Monday and Wednesday. We've got a windward mark and we've got a gate. I'm going to set a gate based on some of the items that I saw happening at the regatta over the weekend with some of you sailors. Okay, so wind direction once again. We're going to start at the bottom of the course below the gate, and we've got a starboard and port ley line that we just talked about. You're going to go through the gate and you're going to work your way upwind. I would like to see at least 4 tacks as you head upwind. The more tacks, the better. Try to stay in the middle of the course. It does a few things for you. 1, it gets you used to tacking. 2, it also gets you used to more traffic that will be coming downwind because we're going to continue to loop. Work your way to the top of the course and work your way down. So I want to see you alternating either the left gate or alternatively the right gate. So what I saw as a lot of boats were coming downwind, they would get in a situation where you have 4, 5, 6 boats wide coming down. The inside boat has the rights, and everyone would go around the right gate. In doing so, the outside boat ends up way, way, way below the mark and very, very slow, bad wind. It's just disaster after disaster that happens on a race course when the whole time this left-hand gate was wide open with clean air. So that's why I want to get you accustomed to being able to go either left or right, depending on the situation you're in. And this is the perfect opportunity to practice this without jeopardizing your positions in a race. Looking forward to the practice this week. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Thank you.